Alright, without further ado, I am going to start to go through each champion that I have, and I'm going to rank them according to the following factors. So I'm going to think about their archetype. Archetype is this symbol that appears here. In Dracula's case, he is a brawler. I'm going to think about the content type. So within the Cavern of Chaos, the different floors, it's just waves of enemies mostly at the moment. So we've got waves of enemies, and then every 10 levels we've got either a mini boss or a boss. So consider mini bosses similar to bosses, so I'll just say bosses. So waves, bosses, and potentially a third content type is just a niche use, like a specific stage that has tough things. There's the awakened level. When we look at our heroes, they can have an awakening. That's the symbol up in the top right. So, for example, my Aphrodite is awakened 5. She has her max awakening. I'll account for how many awakens they've had unlocked. I'll look through their abilities. I'll account for their ascension level. So if you look at them, you can ascend your champions up, obviously, to the max. It gives them more stats overall, and at Ascension 3, it unlocks their passive. So I'll account for that, whether they have their passive or not, and what their Ascension level is. I'll think about their contribution in terms of their archetype, how they synergize with other characters, whether they're a support, or they can just go in there guns blazing, right? Gear dependency, it's going to be quite hard to gauge, but also very subjective. And then there's weapon synergy. So on the gear screen, we also have their weapons, and different heroes are going to be influenced in different ways by different weapon choices. So that's also something to factor in and to account for. Some weapons are better against bosses, some weapons are better for certain champions, and then we've got the complexity of imprints. So these are all things I'm going to try to take into account. Bear in mind, this tier list is going to be very subjective. And I will start with Dracula. I'm actually not going to test him on floor 115 because I've already got various Dracula footage and attacks and so on. So, overall, I would rate Dracula, I would rank him as an A tier. Simply because he doesn't bring everything. For a brawler, he doesn't seem to do as much as other brawlers. He brings more in his kit. He brings some good stuff in his kit with that passive heal. But overall, I would float between B and A. He's kind of hard to activate. He's kind of hard to use. He is fairly niche. In fact, I'd put him as B. Okay, next up, we have Aphrodite. I will say right off the bat that Aphrodite is an exceptional champion. She is not only a very sexy model, she's an exceptional champion in terms of what she brings for synergy and to the team, to the comp, whatever your comp is. I use Aphrodite in just about every area of the game in terms of, well, the caverns at the moment, right? I have been using her since I got her, and she is a very core part of my main team, even if I swap other champions out. Mine is Awakened 5, which is huge. Gracious, she makes a fantastic support champ. Obviously an Invoker, I didn't say that earlier, but an Invoker is basically a support champion. She brings phenomenal support. Aphrodite is S tier. Absolutely huge support. Next up, we have Isis, another Invoker. She is a support champ. Overall, she brings some really strong buffs. She is a very strong buffer for your team. She doesn't speed them up, but she helps them survive. All these champions I'm going through, these legendaries, I've fully booked them as well. So the cooldown on their core skills is the best that it can be with reduced cooldown. If there is a tough challenge or there are tough waves and you can bring her in, definitely do so. I find that she's a little too niche to make S tier, but she is still a very solid champion, bringing some excellent support. And I would place her as an A tier champion. If she were Awakened 5, she might eke into S tier. From my experience with her, she's still A tier, bordering on S tier. Anubis, another brawler. I feel like Anubis is a stronger brawler than Dracula. He brings some pretty significant damage. Let's test it with Aphrodite as our support. You'll see how strong she is, actually, in this. So speed up, initiative up, right? When she goes into attack, Anubis is going to go in and see how much damage he does. Double hit, 16.8k. So double hit, that's 33,000. And then he's got his AoE. He doesn't have a lot of accuracy, so if you want that to land, you need accuracy. These are weak. These are strong against him anyway, so he's the wrong affinity because he's cunning. And these are wisdom, so he's weak against them. So let's have a look at what sort of damage this does, because I think he's more about damage than placing those debuffs. Oh, I didn't get damage numbers. There's a beautiful little bug for you. Alpha 2, folks, Alpha 2. But you can see from their health bars that they got significantly reduced. Let's have a look at his ultimate. And they're just dead. There's massive healing on him, and they're just dead. For a brawler, he's hitting hard. If he has accuracy, if you build him with accuracy, you're actually going to get some really good debuffs on the enemies. So I'm going to place him as A tier. If he's your first legendary, congratulations. He seems very strong to me. I wish I'd been able to see damage numbers for comparison, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Next up is Zeus. So Zeus is a bit of a glass cannon. Overall, fairly low HP, but he's got almost 4k attack with the gear that I have. He brings almost 100% crit rate, so we may as well call it 100%. 140% crit damage. I know people are building over 200 because they want to hit really, really hard. I've got enough speed for him to go. We'll do it against a full health one. 53,000 against one. And then 38,000 against all other enemies. So he will attack along with her. 50k, over 50k between the attacks. And then what you basically do is you just go in and you kill one at a time. Dead. That's 48. We got a strong hit for 31k. And his core is back up as well, which is crazy. Now, with your ultimate, you can choose which one you attack. So if I wanted to go in with his ultimate and zap one, 80,000 damage, and then we go, see ya. Zeus is SS tier. He is S+. It's kind of hard to subjectively compare, hey, Slayers are so super good versus Invokers or Disruptors, because they serve different functions, right? But for what he does, Zeus is absolute god tier. He is probably my favorite champion. Pangu's another brawler. He has a very interesting kit, and it makes him quite difficult to build. You can go one of two ways. You can go full-on god mode damage, or you can go let me debuff. So that's the thing with brawlers. Some of them bring serious damage. Some of them you want to rely more on their debuffs. With Pangu, it's easier to build him for damage, but you can build him to debuff as well. So first of all, we'll have a look at his A1 when he goes in for the ally attack. 29,000. Nice hit. It's on par with Zeus's first hit, right? So Zeus does 2 hits. It's on par with both those. You want that defense down and attack down when it's against champions that are not going to die or against a boss. So it did... What did that do? I don't think I saw the numbers. Was that 17,000? So bam. 32,000. Here we go. 30,000. Very nice. So the ultimate is kind of a gamble, right? You're sort of interchanging between what you can and can't do by raising and lowering his initiative and speed. Very interesting synergy from Pangu. This does lots of damage too. There we go. It was 50,000. Strong hits, 50,000. So overall, Pangu is very strong. He can be used against bosses. He can be used against waves. His core does some serious damage. I think Pangu is A tier because he's hard to build. He's hard to build, and it's kind of hard to balance between that speed initiative thing going on. So definitely an A tier champ. After Pangu, we have YDG, Ddraig Goch. So we're going to do a little YDG test. He was my first legendary that I got this alpha, and he was very strong. He helped carry me. He is a slayer as well. He brought some serious damage. He is a little bugged at the moment in various ways, but he still brings that damage. Okay, we're going to go back into 115 with YDG wearing Zeus's gear, and we're going to just check out what he can bring. Bear in mind he's awakened 2, he doesn't have a lot of accuracy, and so on. So first of all, we're just going to test his core. Okay. Okay, 19,000 and 17 to 19,000. That's enough to clear a wave because of the double attack. Okay. Now we're actually going to get him to ally attack. Goes in for a chomp, 35,000. It is a single attack. He's not going to do as much damage as Zeus, and obviously he doesn't get another turn. But when he ally attacks, then he's going to take out 2 enemies, right? Goes in for a chomp, 47,000. That's much better. Ally attacks must be reduced damage. So we'll get to the next wave. Chomps that one as well. Goes in, chomps that one down. 47,000. Nice chunky bites. And he's going to do his big fireball. Ah, I love it. Boom, boom, boom. 13,000 across the board. Was that a 4-hitter? Oh, a triple hitter at 13,000 each. That's about 40,000 damage. Not bad. Could be better, but not bad at all. He doesn't bring as much damage, and he is a slayer, so his primary role is to do damage. He does bring utility a little bit, but it's not enough to really push him into S tier. So overall, YDG, A tier. Heimdall is the first legendary defender champion that I am covering. So obviously defenders, they stand there, they take the brunt of the attacks, they mitigate damage on behalf of their allies. The way I've got him built is okay HP. You probably want a bit more HP than this. High defense, so 4k defense is a minimum. Speed, you definitely want to, once you get to the very deepest parts of the cavern, you want to have 200 speed. You want anyone that you want to go first to have 200 speed. He does not require accuracy. He does not necessarily require initiative. You could try and push higher initiative to test out his ultimate rotating around faster. Overall, in terms of what this guy brings, if we consider his role, what he's supposed to do, what he brings, the strength of his shields, how much he keeps your team alive, Heimdall is S tier. For a defender, he's an absolute god. He will allow you to beat 150 Fafnir. If you have enough speed and enough defense, your team's not going to die. He's going to get to his ultimate often enough that he's going to just keep those shields up on your team. Quetzalcoatl. This is an invoker, so brings support to your team. I have not tried this champion. He sort of pushes things forward. Sounds similar to Aphrodite in terms of pushing things forward. Speed up, speed up, speed up, right? So I'm gonna put Aphrodite's gear on him. We'll use YDG just for fun, but we want to see what Quetzal brings. So, testing out his core skill first of all, which as a reminder increases turn meter, places speed up, and extra speed. There we go, we got the turn meter increase, and he's going to get another turn before the enemies. That is insane. So we'll try to take them out. There we go. He would have got another turn, which is amazing. He's already got his ultimate because I put Mjolnir on him. We're going to test out his ultimate, which places attack up, sharpen, accuracy up, and increase turn meter. So there we go. Attack up, sharpen, accuracy up. We're going for an attack. I don't expect much. Invokers don't bring much in the way of attack. He's not squishy at all. I think we need to do something where he takes some serious damage to really show you guys what what he's capable of. Serious healing going on here. I love it so far. Oh no, this is not looking good. Oh, what happened? Oh, YDG's back. I didn't die. And dead again. Unfortunately, we're not going to come back up again. But you kind of get the gist of what I was doing there. Went to 0 health, killing blow. Guess what? Shrugged it off and brought back YDG. So his passive resets each wave. So if you're struggling on each wave because of the damage you're taking, just rely on that passive, bring them back up, and you should be good. So overall, for Quetzalcoatl, I would say that he is an S tier healer. An invoker who actually heals his team, has an incredible passive, brings all the speed, they get more turns. Very, very good champion from what I have seen. On par with Aphrodite just about. I still think she's SS and he's S. Next up we have Sphinx. Sphinx is another defender, a bit like Heimdall. Alright, we'll place Vanish. We'll see what happens with them. They attack Sphinx, obviously. Tanky. Very tanky. Alright, we do an AoE. Nice little chunk of damage. 11,800. Not bad. Now we get to do the ultimate. Okay, so the ultimate is AoE destroys their HP and increases the divinity cost of them. So... boom. 12,000 over here. I didn't quite see the orange one here, but it was about 8,000 to 12,000. If we crit, we could do reasonable damage from that, but it's more about reducing their max HP than anything. And then we come in with this, and we do 10,000 strong hit and about 8,000 regular hit. Overall, not super impressed with it. I'm not sure how useful Vanish is, except to make sure that the attacks are focused on Sphinx, which is what you want for a defender. It would be possibly better if they were to place some sort of taunt, a disable of some sort, because all they're doing is really reducing the max HP or placing attack down, which is useful. It's just, I think there is a lot more that Sphinx could bring. Maybe I haven't seen the full range of its kit. To me, because I'm comparing it to Heimdall, I feel like Sphinx is a bit of a B tier legendary. Okay, next up we have Ra. So if you don't have YDG and you don't have Zeus, then Ra is going to be your go-to damage dealer. But we'll chuck the Slayer gear onto him and give him a run for his money. Okay, Aphrodite plus Ra. Let's see how Ra performs when compared to YDG and Zeus. Taking into account the fact that he's probably not going to be landing his Blaze, which is not going to give him the increased damage that you would expect. So a little bit harder to build than a pure damage champion. So first up, we're going to test his core. So just bear in mind that he doesn't have much accuracy. Oh, still does 35k. He still just goes, see ya. Bam. 27,000, there we go. Quite nice. About on par with YDG. Go for his ultimate, see what we get. Ah, cool graphics. That was only about 10,000 per hit. Now it's a triple hit, so it's about 30k. 30 to 32k, which is not quite enough to take out this wave. So his ultimate is a little bit lackluster. I don't think he's a boss killer. I think he's a wave clearer, only just. He actually is a bit lackluster. Overall, not as good as YDG. That's the unfortunate thing. He relies too much on the scaling with the debuff Blaze. If you pair him with YDG, you could have accuracy on one and not as much damage, and then you could have a lot more damage on the other. I would put more damage on Ra, more crit damage and attack if you can, and high accuracy on YDG if you want to pair them together. Shamash is another invoker. He's a little bit different to the other invokers. I like the variation that we get here. We get an ally attack. If I had all the allies, they would all run in and attack. Bam. Easy kill, right? He's not actually built to do damage, right? So he'll go in. But look at Ra's ultimate meter. How crazy, right? And we're almost back We're almost back to our ally attack again. He's got his ally attack back up. Look at this. Go in. Bam. Down it goes. If nobody's dead, he will still do Radiance and attack up. And any overhealing that he does, he places a barrier. So we do this. And we get a tiny little barrier. We can see here on Ra that we get this little bit of a barrier. So there was some overhealing. And he's also got Radiance and attack up. Bam. Down he goes. Picks him straight back up. Light of the Heavens. The first time they're killed, gain full divinity and activate it. And he also gains divinity when an ally joins an attack. But you saw there that he just picked him straight up without having to have a full divinity meter. Shamash. For an invoker, he is okay. He brings not much in the way of healing. He does bring healing. He pushes divinity. He picks them up when they're down, so he is a reviver. Under niche circumstances, he's a reviver. That passive activation of his ultimate is pretty incredible. It can be very niche, very good against bosses. Bringing ally attack, very strong against bosses to bring ally attack. Overall, I would place Shamash between A and S. That ally attack is just so strong if you have the right team composition, but you have to have the right team composition. He's not pushing forward as much as other invokers. He's not bringing as much healing as other invokers. Ally attack is his saving grace. I'm actually going to place him in A tier. He will be a very core part of a lot of teams that want to be killing bosses because of that ally attack. He's just going to cause that damage to just roll through. But that's bosses, right? Against waves and in other content, ally attack is possibly not going to be the strongest skill. That's just my opinion. I think he's an A tier champ. I don't think he quite gets into S tier. If anything, he's A+, S-. I have 3 more legendaries to get through. Unfortunately, the remaining 3 that I have to cover are only level 50. So with this basic gear, he's got 167 accuracy, which should be kind of enough. I'd like to go over 180, I think. He's got enough speed. 189 is enough speed to do stuff. He's not going to bring any sort of damage. He's just there to bring control. He should place Ether Burn when Taunt does not land. If Taunt does not land, which it might not. Even though he's got okay accuracy. There we go. Taunt landed across the board. That is exactly what we want to see. So for a Disabler, for a Disruptor, you want him to have a lot of health. You want him to be tanky because he's going to take a whole lot of hits from that Taunt. Now, imagining that Loki is level 60, Awakened 5, and Ascended. He's fairly strong. It's only a 1-turn Taunt. He needs to be a bit tanky to take that Taunt unless he's managed to get Charm up. If he's somehow gone in and attacked everything and charmed them all, it's fairly niche. I don't feel he's that strong of a Disruptor, especially considering he is legendary. I wish it were a 2-turn Taunt, or it would Taunt plus chance to stun, or something else within the disable. Now, he needs to be super tanky, and the Lokis that I've faced as enemies were tanky, so you need to build him really tanky with that in mind, knowing that he's taunting. The other skills are actually not bad. They're not bad, but they're very niche, and it's kind of hard to activate him, I find. So I'm going to place him as a B from my experience, despite the fact that he's not 60 and fully awakened and stuff. So after Loki, we have Hel. Hel is another legendary slayer. Alright, the core. This is the AoE that can place Curse. So, bam. Pretty decent. She's only level 50, and she did 27,000 across the board. She also placed Curse. And bam, 22,000. Pretty decent for a level 50. Now, she should resurrect them all and confuse them. And we've got that bug again. Unfortunately, they don't appear to have confuse on them, so that is broken. So overall, Hel was bringing some very strong attacks. Her revive is broken. It would be a very cool feature if she did revive them and actually confuse them. I think if she were level 60, fully awakened, fully ascended, with decent gear, she could bring some serious damage, especially with that core ability that she has, where she's just blasting them with a death ray. I would put her up as A tier. She's a very strong slayer. She seems to bring a very unique kit. I think she will bring damage in the arena, or whatever the PvP is that they bring. I can very comfortably put her into A tier, I believe. Okay, the last legendary that I have is Odin. Now, Odin was my first legendary in Alpha 1, and I did get to play with him quite a bit. He was my go-to disabler. He is a disruptor, so he tries to control the battle. He has a bit of resistance, but his accuracy is where it really matters for a disruptor. So 200 accuracy, 200 speed, and a bit of HP for survivability. Because he's level 50, I do want to go to an earlier stage, so I'll stick with stage 75. Alright, let's see if we get Confuse up. We did. That was crazy. He did some decent damage there as well. I wasn't really watching the damage. I'll have to come back and check it. We'll see what sort of damage it does. 2,500, about 2,000. So he did about 2,000, confused them all, but did so much damage that it's kind of pointless, right? Okay, overall, Odin. If he were level 60, he would do even more damage. He seems to be pretty decent for a disruptor in terms of the damage that he brings, which is very cool because it can help a lot on the waves. His Confuse is only 1 turn. It would be much better if it were 2 turns or 2 stacks. He brings great control. He brings decent damage. I wasn't able to test his ultimate this time around. His ultimate sounds like it is excellent. He is a strong champion, great for waves, great for helping you out. I would place him as an A tier champion, probably mid-range A, right? Yeah, probably about middle of the road A. Now, if he was 60 fully awakened, fully ascended, had really good gear with decent accuracy and 100% crit, I reckon he could even be S tier because of the damage he brings, as well as the other things that he brings, like the control, being a disruptor and everything. I'm almost inclined to place Odin as S tier, but the one stack of Confuse is what really limits it for me. I'm going to leave him in an A. I'm going to leave him as an A tier champion. So there we have it. Aphrodite, Zeus, Heimdall, and Quetzalcoatl, all S tier champions for their different purposes. 2 invokers, 1 defense champion, and an absolutely godlike slayer. In A tier, we have Isis, Anubis, Pangu, Ddraig Goch, Shamash, Hel, and Odin. All top tier champions, very strong for what they bring and what they do, completely different kits. B tier champions for the legendaries: Dracula, Sphinx, Ra, and Loki. Don't be disappointed if you get one of those 4 champions. They are still fairly strong in certain areas of the game. They just don't quite measure up to the usage, the utility, and the comp connection of the other legendary champions. So there we have it, the legendary tier list. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I'll see you on the next one.